Hua Xian and a group of civil and military officials entered the palace together to pay court to Emperor Xian of Han. Hua Xian stepped forward and said, "We officials have observed King Chao Pai of Wei. Since he inherited his position, his virtue has spread across the land and his benevolent governance has benefited the people. Even when compared to the ancient sage kings Yao and Shun, he is no less worthy." After careful discussion, the ministers believe that the mandate of heaven has now departed from the Han house. Your Majesty should follow the ancient example of Yao and Shun and yield the throne to the King of Wei. In this way, it accords with heaven's will and satisfies the hearts of the people. Your Majesty may enjoy peace in retirement. Your ancestors will be preserved, and the common people will gain stability. We have already discussed this matter and have come to present our request. Emperor Xian was stunned and speechless for a long time. Looking at the officials filling the court, he suddenly wept and said, "In the past, Emperor Gaozulu Bang rose with only a 3-foot sword. He slew the White Serpent, overthrew Qin and Chu, and founded the Han Dynasty. This empire has been passed down for 400 years. Though I may lack great talent, I have not committed great crimes. How can I bear to hand over the empire of my ancestors so easily? You should discuss the matter again." Hua Xian then called Li Fu and Suji forward. Li Fu said, "Since the King of Wei ascended his position, auspicious signs have appeared everywhere. Unicorns have been seen, phoenixes have arrived, yellow dragons have manifested, blessed grain has grown in clusters, and sweet dew has fallen from the sky. These are heavenly omens showing that the mandate is shifting from Han to Wei." Suji added, "We are responsible for observing the heavens. Recently, when we studied the stars, we saw that the fortune of the Han Dynasty has faded, while the stars of Wei shine brightly. There are also prophetic verses saying, 'A ghost by the border, lines connected. When Han ends, nothing remains to be said. Words in the east, noon in the west. 2 suns shining together shift above and below.' When interpreted together, it means that Wei and Xuchong will replace the Han. Your Majesty should abdicate soon." Emperor Xian replied, "These so-called omens and prophecies are mostly illusions. How can I abandon my ancestors' empire because of such uncertain things?" Wang Lang then said, "Throughout history, prosperity is followed by decline. No state lasts forever. The Han has lasted over 400 years. Now its fortune has ended. If your Majesty does not withdraw early, disaster may arise." Hearing this, the emperor burst into tears and withdrew into the inner palace. The officials dispersed, some even laughing among themselves. The next day the officials again assembled at court and sent eunuchs to summon the emperor. Out of fear, Emperor Xian refused to come out. Empress Chao asked him, "Why does your Majesty refuse to attend court when the officials are requesting your presence?" The emperor cried and said, "Your brother Chao Pai wishes to usurp the throne and has sent the officials to pressure me. That is why I dare not go out." Empress Chao became furious. How could my brother commit such treason? Before she finished speaking, Chao Hong and Chao Xiu entered with swords and demanded that the emperor attend court. The empress angrily rebuked them. "You are all traitorous ministers seeking wealth and rank. My father Chao Chao achieved great merit, yet never dared seize the throne. Now my brother has barely inherited power, and already wishes to usurp the Han. Heaven will surely not protect you." She burst into tears and withdrew into the palace, while the palace attendants wept as well. Chao Hong and Chao Xiu repeatedly pressed the emperor. With no other choice, Emperor Xian changed his clothes and went to court. Hua Xian said, "If your Majesty follows yesterday's proposal and abdicates the throne, disaster can be avoided." The emperor cried, You all receive the Han Dynasty's salaries, and many of you are descendants of Han officials. How can you commit such disloyalty? Hua Xian replied. If your majesty refuses the consensus, calamity may soon arise in the palace. It is not that we are disloyal. This is simply the situation. The emperor said, Who dares to kill me? Hua Xian answered sternly, Everyone in the realm knows that your majesty lacks the fortune of a true emperor, which is why chaos fills the land. If not for the king of Wei protecting the court, there would be countless people wishing to kill you. Yet you show no gratitude. The emperor was terrified. Wang Lang gave Hua Xian a signal. Hua Xian suddenly stepped forward, grabbed the emperor's dragon robe, and shouted, Will you agree or not? Speak. The emperor trembled with fear, and could not reply. Cao Hong and Cao Xiu drew their swords and shouted, Where is the keeper of the imperial seal? The official Zhu Bai stepped forward and said, I am here. They demanded that he hand over the jade seal. Zhu Bai angrily replied, The jade seal is the treasure of the Son of Heaven. How can it be demanded like this? Cao Hong ordered the guards to drag him out and execute him. Zhu Bai cursed all the way until he was killed. Later generations wrote a poem lamenting him. When treacherous ministers rule, the Han must fall. They borrow the language of abdication like the sages of old. The entire court bows to Wei. Only the keeper of the seal remains loyal. Emperor Xian trembled with fear. Below the hall stood hundreds of armored soldiers carrying spears, all troops of Wei. With tears in his eyes, the emperor said to the officials, I am willing to yield the empire to the king of Wei. I only ask to keep my life. Jiasu said, The king of Wei will certainly not betray your majesty's trust. Please issue the decree to calm the people. Thus the emperor ordered Chen Kun to draft the abdication edict. Hua Xian carried the decree and the jade seal, and together with the officials delivered them to Cao Pai. Cao Pai was overjoyed and initially wanted to accept immediately. Sima Yi advised him, You must not accept at once. Though the decree has arrived, Your Highness should first submit a memorial declining the offer, so that you will not be accused of seizing the throne. Cao Pai followed the advice and pretended to refuse. Emperor Xian believed Cao Pai was truly humble. Hua Xian then said, When Cao Cao was granted the title of King of Wei, he also declined 3 times before accepting. Your Majesty should issue another decree. So the emperor issued another edict. Jiasu further suggested building a platform of abdication, where the emperor would personally hand over the seal. Thus a grand platform was constructed at Fanyang, and an auspicious day was chosen for the ceremony. On the appointed day, more than 400 officials gathered, while tens of thousands of guards formed ranks. Emperor Xian personally presented the jade seal to Cao Pai. After the proclamation was read, Cao Pai formally ascended the throne. He proclaimed the era name Huangchu and the state title Great Wei, and granted a general amnesty. Cao Cao was posthumously honored as Emperor Wu of Wei. Hua Xian then said, Just as there cannot be 2 suns in the sky, there cannot be 2 rulers among the people. Since the Han Emperor has abdicated, he should retire as a noble. Cao Pai therefore granted Emperor Xian the title Duke of Shanyang, and ordered him to leave the capital. Hua Xian rested his hand on his sword and declared, Establishing one emperor and removing another has always been the way of history. Today His Majesty shows mercy by sparing your life and granting you the title Duke of Shanyang. From now on, you may not enter court without summons. With tears in his eyes, the former emperor bowed in thanks and rode away. The people who witnessed the scene were deeply saddened. Cao Pai, however, turned to his ministers and said, "Now I finally understand how Yao and Shun passed the throne." As he prepared to perform sacrifices to heaven, a sudden violent wind arose. Sand and dust filled the air, and all the lights were blown out. Qiao Pai was so frightened that he fell from the platform. The ministers hurriedly carried him back to the palace, and he was unable to attend court for several days. After recovering slightly, Qiao Pai rewarded the officials. Hua Xian became minister over the masses, and Wang Lang became minister of works. Believing the palace at Xuchang to be unlucky, Qiao Pai moved the capital to Luoyang and began building grand palaces. At this time news also reached Chengdu. Qiao Pai had proclaimed himself emperor, and rumors spread that Emperor Xian had been killed. When Liu Bei heard this, he wept the entire day and ordered all officials to wear mourning. He posthumously honored Emperor Xian as Emperor Xiaoman. Overcome with grief, Liu Bei fell ill and entrusted state affairs to Zhuge Liang. Zhuge Liang discussed the matter with Su Jing and Xiao Zhou. They believed the empire could not be without an emperor and that Liu Bei, as a descendant of the Han imperial family, should inherit the Han mandate. Xiao Zhou added that auspicious clouds and imperial star signs had recently appeared, indicating that the king of Hanzhong should ascend the throne. Thus Zhuge Liang and the ministers submitted a memorial urging Liu Bei to become emperor. Liu Bei was shocked and said, "Are you trying to trap me into disloyalty?" Zhuge Liang replied, "Qiao Pai has usurped the Han. My lord is a descendant of the Han imperial house and should rightfully continue its line." Liu Bei angrily said, "How could I imitate such a traitor?" Despite repeated persuasion from Zhuge Liang, Liu Bei refused. So Zhuge Liang pretended to fall ill. Liu Bei personally visited him. Zhuge Liang said he was worried about the fate of the state. He explained, "Now that Qiao Pai has usurped the throne, the Han house will perish. All the officials hope that you will ascend the throne and punish the usurper. If you refuse, their hearts will scatter. If the ministers disperse and Wu and Wei attack together, even Shu may not survive." Liu Bei said, "I only fear the criticism of the world." Zhuge Liang answered, "If the title is not rightful, authority cannot stand. My lord is a descendant of the Han. Why worry?" Liu Bei said they should discuss it again after Zhuge Liang recovered. Zhuge Liang immediately jumped up and summoned the officials. The ministers together begged Liu Bei to ascend the throne. A ceremonial altar was built in the southern suburbs of Chengdu, and a grand sacrifice to heaven was held. After the proclamation was read, the ministers presented the imperial seal. Liu Bei declined several times but finally accepted. He proclaimed the era Zhongwu, made Lady Wu his empress, and named Liu Shan as crown prince. Zhuge Liang became chancellor, Su Jing became minister over the masses, and officials throughout the state were rewarded. A general amnesty was proclaimed. The people and soldiers of Shu rejoiced. The next day at court, Liu Bei addressed the ministers. "In the past, Guan Yu Zhang Fei and I swore brotherhood in the Peach Garden and vowed to live and die together. Now Guan Yu has been killed by Sun Quan of Eastern Wu. If I do not avenge him, I betray that oath. I will mobilize the armies of the realm, attack Wu, capture Sun Quan alive, and avenge this great wrong." Before he finished speaking, one official knelt and spoke. "This must not be done." Liu Bei looked and saw that it was General Zhao Yun. Thus the poem says, "Before the king could launch his righteous campaign, a loyal minister first spoke words of honest counsel." How Zhao Yun will attempt to persuade Liu Bei will be revealed in the next chapter. Summary. This chapter marks a major turning point in the story, the official fall of the Han Dynasty, and the emergence of the rival imperial states of Wei and Shu. First, Hua Xian and other ministers force Emperor Xian to abdicate. Chao Pai uses the traditional ritual of voluntary abdication as a political tool to legitimize his seizure of power and formally establishes the state of Wei. Emperor Xian is demoted to Duke of Shanyang, bringing the 400-year rule of the Han Dynasty to an end. News of these events soon reaches Shu. Grieving both the death of Guan Yu and the collapse of the Han Dynasty, Liu Bei eventually accepts Zhuge Liang's advice and ascends the throne himself, founding the state later known as Shu Han. He declares his intention to restore the Han legacy and oppose Wei. However, immediately after his coronation, Liu Bei announces his plan to attack eastern Wu in order to avenge Guan Yu. This decision raises serious concerns among his ministers. Zhao Yan openly objects in court, foreshadowing a major strategic debate and a critical turning point for the future of Shu. Knowledge points. 1. The dramatic scene of ministers threatening the emperor. Hua Xian grabbing the dragon robe, armed Wei soldiers filling the hall, and officials forcing abdication, is largely fictionalized in the novel. Historically, Emperor Xian's abdication was the result of complex political arrangements and formal procedures, rather than an open act of intimidation resembling a palace hostage situation. 2. The rumor in Chengdu that Emperor Xian had already been killed, leading Liu Bei to hold a remote mourning ceremony and posthumously honor him as Emperor Xiaoman, is also influenced by the novel's narrative dramatization. In reality, Emperor Xian Lu Xie was not killed after the abdication and lived for several more years as Duke of Shanyang. 3. The novel presents Liu Bei's decision to attack Wu almost immediately after becoming emperor. Historically, the campaign against Wu developed gradually and was influenced by diplomatic developments and military conditions. The novel compresses these events to heighten dramatic tension and emotional impact.